For many people, the COVID-19 pandemic has passed and is not given much thought or news coverage. Yet there's a growing number of people who have reported symptoms that have never left them. Many of them have had these symptoms for years. The Office of National Statistics estimates that over 2 million Britons have long COVID. You may have it, or you may know someone who is struggling with it. My name is Paul, and I've been debilitated by long COVID since January 22. In this podcast, I'm going to share my journey and things I've experienced along the way. My aim is not to give medical advice. I'm certainly not qualified to do that. But I've been gaslit, ridiculed and dismissed for my symptoms, and I know it can be a very lonely place to be. It's an invisible illness, and I just want people to know that they're not alone. Well, hello, I'm back, and thank you for downloading this episode of Life with Long COVID. My name's Paul Clark. If we haven't met before, I'm the host, and the purpose of this podcast is to highlight and describe what it feels like to live with long COVID. So I'm guessing if you're listening, you either know somebody or you yourself are suffering from these symptoms. And if that's the case, then welcome. Because I know what it's like. I've had long COVID now for, I don't know, I think it's about 3 years now. And I've documented my journey pretty much throughout using this podcast. So feel free to delve back into some of the episodes if you would like to. This episode is called You Said You Were Getting Better Last Week. But before we get into that, why have I not uploaded an episode since November is probably the question that I should be answering to begin with. And of course we've had Christmas in between and New Year, and it's been a busy old Christmas. We'll get to that, but I mean that's not the reason why I haven't uploaded. If I'm going to be really, really honest, I've been quite down the last couple of months. I think you know, I delved last episode into retirement and the loss of identity that comes with that, you know, and having been a busy vicar of 3 parishes and my whole identity placed in that, I think it probably hit me more. I don't know why. In November, running up into Christmas, I guess those darker months, and I felt really down. And with that comes this big kind of imposter syndrome thing where you just think, why am I doing podcasts and writings and videos and all the kind of things that I'm doing? Or rather, who am I to be doing these things, you know? Who am I to be speaking out about these things? And I decided to not have a break. I was going to stop recording these episodes. But you know what? January's hit. Christmas was... I still felt pretty down over Christmas. It was busy. We hosted. I mean, it wasn't that busy, to be honest with you. You know, I used to be a vicar. I know what busy is. We had a couple of family gatherings. That was it. And but it just tired me out. And January is now hit. I'm recording this on what has officially been designated Blue Monday. I don't know if this is a thing anywhere else, actually, other than the UK, but it's statistically the most depressing day of the year, apparently. January blues and all that. After Christmas, you know, the nights are dark, the weather's freezing, and yeah. So, but actually, I may be recording this on Blue Monday, but I don't feel too blue today. I feel like I'm coming out of the other end of that kind of period of depression, basically. And And of course, whenever I feel down, my long COVID symptoms seem to be more pronounced. That's just the way it is. I think you just feel it more, maybe you're just more negative about it. So I have been basically mega tired since November now, and it doesn't seem to be going away. I've spoken before about how variable long COVID is. Like, so some days you can wake up and feel all right. By lunchtime you can crash, or you can even make it through to the whole day sometimes and feel okay, only to crash the next day. It's like a constant roller coaster of emotions, because on the one hand you think, I'm going to get better, I'm getting better, and on the other hand you come crashing back down to earth when the symptoms kick back in. That said, I feel like symptoms have been quite hard the last couple of months, particularly with fatigue, and I'm wondering whether my last bout of COVID, which was at the back end of last year, have shifted things in a way that I'm just feeling this is the new me. It's going to be tired now from now on. And with tiredness you get this kind of decline in mental health, because every day is such an effort. Like, I can't describe it anywhere. I'm not saying that life is bad. I'm just saying that when you get up in the morning and you think about the small things that you've got on that day, even if they're fun things, you just feel exhausted thinking about them, then that does get you down day after day, week after week, month after month. So that's where I've been. I've been in this kind of in the doldrums, I guess. And the antidepressants haven't really worked, to be honest with you. But I'm not putting them up. And I'm not going to change my dosage, because that just leads to more complications. So I called this episode, You Said You Were Getting Better Last Week, because, when I do get out, I often get asked, how are you? And I've always said, I've played it down. I've always said, I'm doing all right. I'm not doing too good. Or I've been tired recently. And of course people look at you and they're really friendly, but you can see, like, inside they're thinking, I wish I'd have asked him. So these days, more recently, even though I've been feeling down, I've been saying, no, I think I'm turning a corner. I think I'm getting better, which I know is a lie, but I kind of think that's what they want to hear. But of course, next time they see you, they go, glad the thing's still getting better. You have to keep up the blooming pretense, don't you? So I think I'm probably just going to have to go back to being more honest with how I am, and not saying what I think they want to hear. And that is, I'm okay, but things haven't changed. They're the same. This is me. And, I'm still on the path to accepting this new me. Because I've been so tired the last couple of months, I've really gone overdrive using the mobility aids, particularly wheelchair or scooter. And they have been incredibly helpful. I wouldn't have got out sometimes, but they also come with a whole load of baggage, as I've said before. But the main baggage they come with is it's just such a complete faff to do anything, to go anywhere. You've got to prepare for it. You've got to have to make sure you've got the right kit, the right accessories, the right keys. You've got to make sure you're charged up. You've got to make sure you're in the right vehicle. And, there's all kind of things that come with my scooter, for example, like a comfy seat. And you've just got to make sure you've got everything, because every time I tend to forget something, and it really gets me down and gets me frustrated. Last time I went out in my mobility scooter, I was thinking this is quite successful, but I went to use the disabled toilet and I forgot my radar key, so I basically stuck out of the toilet. And it's a small thing, like I can probably drive into a cubicle in the regular toilets and try and use those, but it just gets you down. The faff of it gets you down. The kind of, you can't just do anything anymore. You have to prepare for it at a time when I don't feel like I'm very good at preparing for anything. So that's me at the moment. And as I say, people asking how you are, it's a tricky situation, isn't it? If you've got any suggestions on how I can answer that, because I've tried lying and saying I'm fine, I've tried being brutally honest, that doesn't particularly go down well. How do you deal with it? It'd be great to hear from you as well, and see how you deal with these kind of well-meaning questions, well-meaning, because people don't really understand what we are going through. They don't understand long COVID. We look fine. We seem to be all right. I can walk, so why, they may think, why do I use a wheelchair or a scooter? Because they don't understand fatigue and chronic fatigue and how that works. So people got all kinds of questions, so when they say, how are you? It's quite a loaded question. They want to understand more, I think, and it's hard to explain when possibly we don't understand it all ourselves. All I can honestly say to those people is, I'm not doing this for a laugh, mate. This is life, and this is what I'm trying to come to terms with. So I plan to continue or restart these podcast episodes. I don't know how often I will upload, but I will attempt to upload regularly. And let's talk about the stuff that you want to hear, If you've got any questions, if you've got any comments, then go in the show notes, click on the link to message me, and I'm happy to cover any topics that you want to cover pertaining to long COVID. There's a Facebook group. You can go into Facebook and search for Life with Long COVID, and you will find our Facebook page there, and you can send me a message through that with any topics you want me to include. So please do that if there's something you don't feel like I've covered, and I will also revisit some of the older topics and kind of let's have an update what things are like 3 years later, with this illness. I want to just say also thank you for the messages I've received. I'm going to read some of them out in the next episode. I've just got to collate them together. So thank you for the messages I've already received. It's a source of great encouragement to me, and part of the reason why I decided to restart doing this, because when you get imposter syndrome, the best thing you can receive is those messages of encouragement to say, no, actually I have listened and I found it helpful. So thanks to those who have sent those messages in between November and now, basically. You can tell I've got a bit of foggy brain today because probably not making sense in some ways. So I will leave you now and say thank you for listening once again, and I hope you'll join me for the next episode. Take care.